This happened 3 summers ago. I was 26, living in Portland, Maine, and taking graduate classes part-time while bartending nights. I was broke and constantly tired, and when you're like that, a quiet week alone with free Wi-Fi and a stocked fridge sounds like therapy. That's what the ad said. House sitter needed. 1 week, coastal property, references required, $800 plus groceries. It didn't seem sketchy. The email came from a woman named Nancy L. with a normal sounding Gmail address, and she followed up with a phone call. She said she and her husband had a summer home near Booth Bay Harbor and needed someone to water plants, bring in the mail, and feed their cat while they visited family in New York. She sounded professional, older, maybe mid-50s. She asked if I could drive out there the next day to meet her before they left. I said yes. The house was about 40 minutes from the city, down a long road that narrowed into one of those single-lane stretches of asphalt where trees meet overhead like a tunnel. The driveway was gravel, long enough that I lost sight of the main road halfway up. It wasn't a mansion or anything, but it was big. A gray 2-story with white trim, glass sunroom, detached garage. The kind of place that feels empty even when people are inside. Nancy met me at the door. She was dressed like she'd just left a tennis club. White sweater, visor, calm voice that made you want to stand up straighter. Her husband, Tom, was behind her, maybe 10 years older. Friendly in that way where everything he said sounded like a question. They gave me a tour. Kitchen, living room, upstairs bedrooms. There were sticky notes everywhere. On the thermostat, leave at 68 degrees. On the window latches, do not open. Next to the back door, lock each night. Nancy noticed me glancing at them and laughed. "We're forgetful," she said, "and we've had issues with wildlife getting in when the place is closed up." They had a black cat named Jasper who disappeared under the couch the second I walked in. His food and litter were in the laundry room. Before they left, Tom showed me a printed list of routines. It was typed and laminated. I remember 3 lines exactly because I stared at them later that week. Water plants in sunroom each morning. Bring mail in by 3 p.m. Check basement door at night. Must stay locked. I didn't think much of it. People who own houses like that love routines. They left around lunchtime, waving like neighbors in a commercial. I remember closing the front door behind them and hearing how quiet it got. No traffic, no voices, just the hum of the refrigerator and the distant cry of gulls. The first couple days were fine, peaceful even. I worked on some school stuff, made dinner, read by the window. Jasper started warming up to me. Every night before bed, I did their checklist. I'd go down to the basement to make sure the bolt on the outer door was latched. The first time I went down there, I saw why they worried. The basement door was half metal, half glass, like an old storm door, and it opened to a sloping backyard that led straight into woods. You could stand in the trees 20 feet away and see right into the basement. I made sure the bolt was tight and went back upstairs. By the 3rd night, I'd started noticing small things. The first was a smell, faint but sharp, like bleach or ammonia. It came from the sunroom, when the windows heated up in the afternoon. I figured it was the cleaning products they'd used before leaving. The second was the motion light in the driveway, flicking on once or twice a night. It happened around the same time, between 1 and 2 a.m. But when I checked, there was never anything there. No animal, no wind, just that pale cone of light on the gravel. I told myself not to be dramatic. The 4th night, I came back from the grocery store and found the back door unlocked. I was sure I'd locked it. I'd triple-checked before leaving because of those notes everywhere. Nothing looked touched. The house smelled the same. Jasper was asleep in the chair. I relocked the door, felt stupid, and tried to forget about it. That evening, as I was doing dishes, the landline rang. The caller ID said private. I picked up. There was breathing for maybe 3 seconds, then a click. I stood there holding the phone, listening to the dial tone. Then I unplugged the base from the wall and left it off. By now, I was sleeping with the bedroom door closed. Around 2 that morning, I woke up to the sound of Jasper hissing. He was on the bed, tail puffed, staring at the crack under the door. A soft creak followed. A floorboard in the hallway just outside. The kind of noise that means wait, not settle. I held my breath. The sound didn't come again. I waited a long time before opening the door. The hallway was dark except for the faint light from the thermostat. Nothing moved. I checked the front and back doors, both locked. The bolt on the basement too. I told myself maybe Jasper was reacting to a raccoon or something outside. I went back to bed, but I kept the lamp on. The next morning I called Nancy. I didn't want to sound paranoid, so I said I thought maybe someone had come by for deliveries or maintenance. She sounded surprised. "No one should be there," she said. "Why do you ask?" I mentioned the phone call, the door, and the motion light. She said, "Oh, that light's finicky, and we sometimes get spam calls on the landline." Then, after a pause, "You are locking the basement door, right?" "Every night," I said. "Good," she said. "Please make sure. Even if you go down there during the day, latch it after." That emphasis, "please make sure," stuck in my head. That night, I heard a different sound. Not from inside the house, but from beneath it. A short, hard noise, like something metallic scraping against the foundation. It came once, then stopped. I sat up, listening. Jasper was on the floor this time, staring toward the vent near the closet. His ears flicked. The noise came again, a little longer. It sounded almost like someone pushing against the outer basement door. I grabbed my phone and opened the Notes app, like I could record it, even though that made no sense. But by the time I had the screen open, the noise had stopped. I barely slept after that. The last night was the one that convinced me never to do another house-sitting job. I was on the couch reading, TV low for background, when the power flickered. It didn't go out completely, just a dip that made the lights dim for half a second. Jasper jumped off the chair and ran toward the kitchen. A moment later, I heard the basement door. Not opening, not slamming, just the faint metal tap it made when the bolt slid back into place. Except I hadn't been downstairs. My chest went cold. I stood up and listened. The air felt thick, like before a storm. I could smell that same chemical scent, stronger now, coming from the sunroom side of the house. I wanted to grab the cat and run, but I made the mistake of checking first. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and walked toward the basement steps. From the top of the stairs, I could see the door at the bottom. The glass panes reflected the beam, so I couldn't see through. Then a shadow crossed it. Someone was standing on the other side, just for a second, before the light flicked off again. I slammed the door at the top of the stairs and locked it, heart hammering so hard I could hear it. I grabbed Jasper and my keys and went straight out the front. I didn't even take my bag. I drove until I had signal and parked outside a Dunkin' Donuts that was closed for the night. I sat there until sunrise, then called Nancy. She didn't pick up. About 20 minutes later, she called back and sounded calm. Too calm. "Oh dear," she said, after I told her what happened. "We've had that problem before. The old property line runs weird. Sometimes kids from the area cut through." "Kids?" I said. "At 2 in the morning? Into your basement?" She exhaled like she was tired of me. "It's fine, really. We'll check when we get back." That was it. No offer to call anyone, no apology. I went back that afternoon with a friend to grab my stuff. The doors were locked. Everything looked undisturbed. The only thing different was that all the sticky notes were gone. Every single one. The only new note was on the refrigerator. Fresh handwriting, thick marker. House sitting, no longer needed. I never heard from them again. The ad disappeared. Sometimes I search the address just to see if it's sold, but the listings are always blank. I don't know who was in that basement, or what Nancy and Tom were trying to hide behind all their reminders, but I've never taken another job like that. And I still can't stand the sound of a metal bolt sliding shut.